The year 2020 has been one heck of a year. I think that regardless of your political background and stance on the current social issues here in the country and abroad, we can at least agree on that. Not only have we seen the world come dangerously close to World War, but we've also seen Australia, California, and Colorado all go up in flames. We've also seen heightened tensions in the Middle East, the loss of two of our most beloved celebrities, and the reemergence of social issues that have scarred our world. But more importantly, we've seen the rise of a virus that has not only affected more than 44 million people worldwide, but has also killed 1 million of those people. Here in the United States, with more than 8 million cases and 227,000 deaths, life has changed pretty significantly, as it is now taboo to not wear a mask in a store or get within 6 feet of a person's personal space. The economy is working to recover from the greatest economic recession since the Great Depression. Yet despite these things, life has gone on. Schools have reopened, and people continue going about their lives trying to live as if nothing has ever changed. The virus, however, continues to spread, and many experts have agreed that containing the virus is no longer possible. Many differ on the reason for why, though. Some blame the lack of funding towards healthcare. Others blame the current administration's handling of the pandemic. Others still blame misinformation that resulted from early unknowns and conspiracy theories that came from within. However, regardless how the country ended up here, it's apparent that we're now approaching a point where the future of this pandemic is becoming more and more clear. Many people have wondered since this all started how things would eventually end. Today, there are three reigning possible outcomes for this pandemic. Number one, COVID-19 is eradicated by a vaccine. In the United States, the Trump administration is forging ahead with Operation Warp Speed. Around the world, nations are working on their own vaccines, all with the help of private companies. However, with the world racing towards a vaccine, many have pointed out the unprecedented task researchers and medical doctors have before them. Normally, vaccines take anywhere from 5 to 10 years to develop. Today, they're trying to do this in under a year or two. This presents the possibility that the vaccines that companies and nations rush to develop won't be as effective as vaccines that go through the proper development process. But given the clear and present danger of COVID, many are choosing to overlook this. But let's say this. Let's say it does succeed. We can see a vaccine come out that helps to eradicate the virus and make it so that the world becomes mostly immune. However, this is one of the more unlikely outcomes, as it only has been achieved once with smallpox, and that was after centuries of research and development. Number two, COVID-19 affects the entire population, killing millions. In this outcome, the United States and much of the world don't develop an effective vaccine to keep the virus at bay, resulting in continued and possibly accelerated transmission. Following the suspected 1% mortality rate of the virus, give or take, eventually 2 million Americans die, along with many millions across the globe. Eventually, the virus runs out of potential hosts and burns itself out after a slow but agonizing race. In this outcome, we can see the world surviving but being forever changed. And while it's possible for the population to develop a form of herd immunity, it won't be without cost. And finally, number three, COVID-19 becomes endemic in regions across the United States and the world. An endemic virus is a virus that is regularly found among a particular group of people or in a certain area. They're prevalent in regions or populations. Their rates of infection are consistent. When a pandemic virus becomes endemic, it has reached a point where certain factors push it to become less severe and less prominent over time, but prevent it from disappearing completely. This is nothing new, with the two most relevant examples being the 2009 swine flu and the 1918 flu. Both are similar viruses that became pandemics, killing many around the world. However, despite both running their courses, they never disappeared. Instead, they became endemic viruses that we now know as the seasonal flu. Today, we have vaccines that make sure the viruses never become strong enough to infect and kill large portions of the population. Of all the potential outcomes of this pandemic, this seems to be the most likely, as it has come to pass in recent history. As COVID-19 spreads and more people become infected, it's possible that the population of the United States and other nations abroad could develop a herd immunity. This can be achieved either naturally or artificially through vaccines and the creation of antibodies that fight COVID-19. But with the current trend, it's likely we'll never contain the virus and it will become our new normal. It's really hard to predict the outcome of this pandemic, largely because there are still many unknowns with this virus. We've seen that the virus can survive warm climates. Though not as effectively, it can and has come back with a vengeance. While death rates are dropping with this second wave, the virus seems to be transmitting at the same, if not faster rate. The United States topped 1,100 daily deaths from the virus on the 22nd of October, and many states are breaking records of their own. The real question is this the pattern we're going to see with the virus in the future, or is this all subject to random chance? And given the way the virus has been treated in the United States, some with skepticism, some seriously, and others with outright ignorance, the question comes up if this second wave and severity we're seeing is the result of the virus itself, or continued mishandling. This has many wondering if more lockdowns are required to beat it. It seems that under a Biden administration, we could see a new initiative by the White House to institute federal mandated lockdowns and masking. However, that is sure to cause a major reaction, which causes me to question if it will work. However, with the Trump administration pushing ahead with Operation Warp Speed, we may be lucky to have a vaccine by the beginning of next year. However, it's seriously debated if the vaccine will be effective, much less widely available to the public. Looking forward, I wonder if things will ever return to what they were before. I wonder if there will ever be a sense of normalcy again once this pandemic quote-unquote ends. As politics have shown, this is never going to stop being an issue, and that blame will go back and forth. Even when we take this with a grain of salt, what we can expect is a new normal where we have to deal with COVID-19. So moving from here, it's important that we keep looking forward. Looking back only with the intent to learn and never stop seeking more knowledge. Because, as I always say, knowing is half the battle. This is the Clear and Present Prepper, signing out.